Good morning and welcome to our Southside Uniting Church Mission and Outreach podcast. And today I have a special guest with me, Rachel Manton. Yay!
Thank you for having me today. I'm so excited about this morning.
That's so good. I'm so grateful that you could come and talk to us today. Now you might notice that my partner in crime is not with us today. Jock is at home sick. So Jock, lots of thoughts, love and prayers. Hope you get better, especially because you're leading us in worship this weekend. And I know you're going to be filming later on in the week, so really praying for you that you'll feel better and be strong enough to be able to come and lead us in that wonderful calling and gifting that you have. So Rachel, welcome to our Mission and Outreach podcast. Did you want to do the acknowledgement?
Sure, I can do that. So we just pay respects to our elders, past, present and future, the traditional owners who walked on this land before us, and we just pay respects to their leaders who are past, present and emerging. I think I messed that up, but hey, we do acknowledge them and it does come from the heart. Thank you.
I thought you did a brilliant job actually. I didn't even know. If you hadn't said anything, I would not have even noticed. I thought you did a brilliant job.
TV.
Well, yes, that's right. We are, you may notice that we are a little bit further apart this week. We are adhering to social distancing protocols and we are using the house microphones at our Yoronga Worship Centre. And just want to acknowledge all of those who helped make this happen, especially our dear friend Russell. Thank you so much, mate, for everything that you do to make this happen today, as well as with Richard yesterday. Good stuff, mate. He's on his phone. Russell is waiting for your comments on our Facebook page. And for those of you who are on YouTube, you can also communicate with us here. You don't have to. We'd love it if you do. Unfortunately, we can't see the comments from this far away, social distancing and all that, but we will be replying to you afterwards. But Russell is on our Facebook page, so if you want to go there and communicate with us, you can go to Southside Uniting Church in Facebook and find us and talk to us. So Rachel, you're here today because we're talking about all of the regulations and rigors that we all have to go through before we can come back with the lifting of the restrictions. Do you want to speak first a little bit to us about where the restrictions are at the moment for gatherings?
Yeah, sure. So we're in the stage 2 at the moment, which those restrictions are on the 1st of June. And so we at the moment are able to have 20 people in a place of worship, adhering to social distancing, so keeping the 1.5 metres distance from each other. And also the space that people can meet in, we need to have one person per 4 square metres. So we have been, Madeline, have a great team here, a property team with Southside United. So we have done a measurement of all of our buildings, of all of our rooms in all of our buildings, so we know exactly how many people we can have in each space. So I guess, and also on that, as people are starting to come back, we need to be thinking about how can we keep people safe that are starting to come back. And so every single group that needs to come back, whether it's a hall user, whether it's a church group, whoever it might be, a Bible study, needs to do what we call a safety management plan. And so they need to look at, and I don't want to bore you here, but there's essentially a few items. So looking at the social distancing, physical distancing I like to call it, how can we adhere to that, personal hygiene, cleaning of the premises, and also what happens if someone turns up and they potentially could have or have been diagnosed with COVID-19. So it's quite a big process that we're having to go through.
It's a lot, and there's a lot of cleaning in there. Isn't it interesting? All of us in the ministry team, it seems that we have gone from ministers to TV personalities and now to paid cleaners. So there you go. But it's really fascinating because, of course, all of this is in order to prevent the spread of COVID. Now, last time I looked, I believe we had 5 active cases still in the state. And so it's not like as if this had completely gone away just yet. There is still the potential for it to be passed on. So tell us a little bit about some of the groups that are coming back at the moment. Let's name them. Let's give them shout outs. If you're coming back and you want to repost this in your groups so that they know that you're coming back, please feel free to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So here at our Yoronga Centre, we've got the Studio Dance and Arts. So they have come back. They started back last week. So most of their classes have started. So they're here most mornings and most afternoons and most of Saturdays. So they're in full force. They're doing a great job adhering to all of the necessary things we need to do. We also have our Capoeira group, which is a martial arts group here at Yoronga. They're starting...
Sorry, what was that again?
Capoeira?
No, try.
No.
One more time. Come on, Rachel.
You say it.
Capoeira.
Capoeira.
There you go.
I'm learning Spanish.
Portuguese.
Portuguese, there you go, so I have no idea. They are a martial arts group. They are starting tonight their first class back. So they've done everything that they need to do, so they're excited to come back as well. In our Holland Park Centre, we have the Japanese Sword and Stick Arts, which is a group for adults doing Japanese sword fighting with social distancing. It'll be interesting to see how they do that. They are starting back tomorrow evening, and so they're going to start with just one session and then see how their numbers go as well. So also coming, we've got a couple of other groups that are still looking at coming back probably in July. They've started to get their plans in. We have I'm just trying to think, it's Support Kids in Pain, SKIP. So they meet at our Tarragindi property. So their plans with Church Council at the moment, looking at that, which is a great organisation that helps to support kids in pain. There's also a Scottish dancing group for adults. They're going to be starting back in July as well, and they are in our Tarragindi community as well. So yeah, there's probably a few others. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, but they're probably the key ones at the moment. Also talking with another martial arts group, they're looking at getting their plan in. They meet at our acrobat community. And so yeah, it's just a lot of our groups have decided, particularly our hall users have decided just to wait until the next lot of restrictions are being lifted. So we're in constant communication with them, and as things progress, we'll certainly be able to put all those plans in place.
So a lot of dance groups and martial arts, which I find fascinating. So last week I was talking to Dea from Berimazu, Capoeira Group, that's going to be meeting tonight. Dea, se você está olhando, que Deus abençoe, muito prazer falar com você. And she was saying that they've revised their curriculum to go non-contact, which I find fascinating. So I wonder what Scottish dancing non-contact looks like. You know, it's like.
Actually, it's interesting, the lady that runs that, she sent me some YouTube clips of the type of dancing that they're going to be doing, and they can do Scottish dancing without touching hands, and it's fascinating that they can actually adapt the activities that they're doing to be able to comply with these restrictions, which I think is fantastic.
That is awesome. Look at that. So, guys, let's not be limited in our thinking. You know, we have all of these programs and these things in our lives that we've been doing up until now. But COVID doesn't mean that these things have to stop. It just means that we have to be more respectful and put into place systems that allow us to work within the system at large. Now, Russell's got a comment for us.
Now, this is a technical error.
Yes.
Mum's saying she's on the side, not normal view. So that might be a technical error for everyone.
Oh, I see. So it looks like our Facebook post might be coming up a little bit funny. So sorry about that, guys. Let's leave it for today, and we will try and address that for next time. So if you do have a handheld device, can we just ask that you turn it on its side so that you can see it? But hopefully it's coming up okay on YouTube for you guys. But thank you so much, Kathy, for letting us know about that, because that's so important. Yeah, so people are adhering to the social distancing, people are adhering to some of the rules. Now, for us in the church, we've got our own set of rules. Jock and I talked about that briefly last week. Did you want to talk a little bit more about that for us as well, the industry-specific rules?
Yeah, so they've released an industry-specific COVID-19 plan for worship services, and this includes things like youth groups and Sunday schools as well. So this has a similar but slightly different set of rules. We're currently working through that at the moment, so it's not an automatic plan that all churches have to adhere to. It's up to each individual congregation whether they would like, if it's going to work for them. So our church council will be looking at that and make that decision on that. But probably the biggest thing with that is that instead of the 20, you can have up to 100 in groups of 20. So you would have your individual groups, even in the same room, you might have 3 groups of 20, but you still need to adhere to that. But also the biggest thing is singing. So at the moment, choirs are not allowed to perform at all because of the close proximity, but general congregational singing is okay. However, under the industry-specific COVID plan, the spacing for singing in congregational settings is 7 square metres instead of the 4 square metres, which almost doubles the room that is needed for people to be able to do that. And that's because of the, and I don't want to get into the details, but it's because of the water droplets, that the projection of that.
We'll talk about some nasty stuff in this podcast. As we've dealt with COVID, I remember, in fact, in one of our first weeks, I said, I think due to COVID, our entire sense of humour has just kind of gone down. And we find a lot of things funny now, which we didn't before, and so you can talk about. I believe we called it the germ soup.
Yeah, okay, the germ soup, yes. And that's because of that, the projection of that, and anyone who actually speaks with force is probably in a similar boat.
As we are now. so here we are contributing
so,
to the germ soup of this room here,
which will be thoroughly cleaned afterwards. It's okay. But and so that it has huge impacts for the number of people that we can actually fit into our worship spaces. And so I was doing some quick numbers, and so if you can kind of fit normally 30 people into a space, that drops down to like 17 or 18 people. So that's a big difference. So there's lots and lots of factors to take into consideration with that.
Okay, so quick round then. Let's go through each of our worship centres. We know how many people can fit in there now, but if we add singing, let's try and figure out how much is in there. Okay, you ready to go for a fun game?
Sure. I did kind of think of it. I'm not very good, but fortunately, I kind of looked at this.
Don't say that. You say my math is excellent. Okay. Watch how good I am.
All right, excellent. Okay.
Cool.
You're wrong. Currently, we can fit 50 people here with 4 square metres. If that comes down, that is kind of like.
It will be about
28.
Yep, 27, 28.
There you go. Okay.
Yes.
So that's huge.
Well, no, it's not. It's very small.
It is very
when you consider how big the space is, because we're feeling it right now, but we have to use microphones and everything else. Otherwise, our voices would just trail off into nothingness. Having been here for the recording the other night, I was playing bass, and my bass just bump, 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 bump into nothingness. With everything that's going on. So this is a massive space, very high ceilings, but yet, even so, with singing we would only be able to fit 25, 27, 28.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then we've also got our Holland Park and Acrobat, they're fairly similar, one's 32, one's 34. So again, that drops it down to something like 18, 19, something in that sort of space. Tarangi is about 42, I think, at the current 4 square metres, and that would drop it down to like, what's that?
21.
Something like that.
Let's go for that.
23 or something. But you can see that makes such a big difference to the number of people that you can fit in here. And when you're trying to spread out people in that space, it's you're potentially 3 metres from the next person that's near you. So
absolutely.
Big difference.
And not just that, but also it would mean for us having to clear the space. So you guys can't see this, but behind the cameras over there are all the pews and everything that normally fill this space. And for us to be able to comfortably fit the 20 or so people, we would probably have to clear out some of those dead spaces. Not all of it, we can put a bit of sticky tape over one seat or things like that. I believe they're doing that on public transport. They're masking off the seats that they want to leave vacant. But for us to really be in the safe space, and I've seen this with some churches in the States and other places where what they've done is, in order to come back, is they've actually taken out all of the pews and they've put in individual chairs at the appropriate distance, as just this ultimate measure to say, you know what, this is how we're going to adhere to these protocols. So at Manton, for example, I can't imagine us being able to move those pews and put them anywhere comfortably at this present time. And so that would impact quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess something else to add, that people who live in the same household can obviously stay together. They don't need to socially distance from each other. So you could have, a family of 4 in the front row, and then 3 metres behind them another family. So it's not like everyone has to spread out. But even so, you're only allowed to have so many people in the space.
But that brings up an interesting point, of course, because we then have to do our tracking. So then there's the administrative side of it also. So it's not just, hey, we're going to invite everyone to come in, and it's not like a normal church service where you can come in, sneak in the back, find the pew at the furthest back of the church, sit down, and then hope to get out a couple of minutes before the end of the service. You're going to have to go in, you're going to have to answer a bunch of questions. The temperature testing, is that a requirement?
No, that's not a requirement. That's some organisations are opting to do that, but no, that's not a requirement. But the minimum requirement is every single person who comes onto site, we need to have their name, their mobile phone number, and when they were here. So we've got an online check-in, check-out form now, just developed, pretty much went live yesterday. So that'll get shared amongst our Southside congregation, so that if you are visiting any of our centres, you do need to check in and check out. And that needs to be kept for 56 days, I think it is, in case there is a case that we need to be able to track who was here. So yeah, it's not a case, like you said, you can't sneak in the back and sit in the back row anymore. We need to know that you've been there, and very important.
We need to know who you are, we need your phone number,
yes.
We need to know how healthy you are, how you've been. You can leave all your dietary information at the door. I remember when that was a big deal, when we would have to say, any dietary conditions, and that was the big deal, wasn't it? Whereas now, no. When was the last time you blew your nose?
Indeed. Because food is not an option, really. It's just, you can't have food at any gatherings, and you shouldn't be mingling before and after. You should be just coming, doing activity, and then leaving too. So, which is a big way of doing how we're looking at church, and how can we be doing mission in this context. It's such a game changer for us.
Absolutely, Rachel. And that's the big question for Jock and me with our podcast. And I guess where I want to throw it back to our viewers, feels weird saying that. I've always said listeners, but yes, no, I suppose they are viewers now, is in the fact that, we are reimagining church, aren't we? So do you have any comments on that?
Look, I think this is a perfect opportunity. We've been thrusted into this situation where we've had to close our doors, we've had to rethink how are we the church, because the church is not the buildings, of course, it's the people. And so I think this is a great opportunity for us to think outside the square, think differently about what is church, what is worship, how do we engage with our community in a way that just brings the light of Christ to them and helps them come into relationship with Christ. That's what we're all called to do. And so I think, experimenting, doing some different things, have a go. If it works, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. We can learn from that and develop something else and have another go. I think this is a great opportunity to be brave, be courageous, and just see what Jesus can do in this space.
Awesome. Well put. Yes, that's exactly what we need, and not just for Southside and our four communities, but I think for the whole Church of God. I'm really excited that, I'm having conversations with a few different groups who are going back in different ways. Last night was the first training session for the soccer club. Now, of course, they manage all of their stuff completely separate from us, but I was so grateful to receive a notification and to be asked for prayer for that inaugural moment. And it's an historic moment too, because of course the football club is not going to be able to have the traditional contact that they would have with participants, with soccer players. In fact, they were telling me the other day that they'll have to ask their parents to drop the children off and then leave, which has with it a whole swathe of risk and other components that will need to be taken into account. And so that speaks to a little bit more of that, the nature of how we're doing things. We can't socialize in the same way how we did before. And where some of these areas of Christian ministry and Christian engagement have been about socializing and building the social commitments, we now have to look at those and reevaluate them. A great Christian teacher said recently, this is going to task the church to look back at its priorities. And if that priority is just meeting and sitting together in a room and having cups of tea, then the church really doesn't understand what its priority needs to be. Because it has to be preaching the gospel and being the hands and feet of Christ in the community. And so, in a sense, this time gives us an opportunity to really focus in and narrow in on that. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely agree, 100%, because that really is, I think we can easily get comfortable turning up on Sunday morning and we sit and we engage in church, however that works for us. But, really being disciples of Christ is just so much more than that. And I think we really need to be thinking differently, engaging with our community, growing disciples as well within our own congregations as well as just, you know, helping us to really build those spiritual muscles that really need to be so strong right now because, you know, we have been just thrust into something that's very different to what we're used to. So, but, you know, Christ is always and always will be. He is with us and he guides us and he gives us inspiration. And I think if we just lean into him and just listen to his voice, that something amazing is just going to come out of this.
Absolutely. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for talking with us today. You've given us a lot to think about, a lot of information. But it's good. It's good for us as a community, for us as churches, to be aware of what is going on, and be aware that, you know, while we have control and power in some of these decisions, others we don't, and in others we just need to follow the protocols and everything else, and try as best as we can to get through this whole time, looking forward to that day when we can once again gather in mission and service of Christ and the community. So thank you so much for sharing with us.
Well, lovely. Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
We'll have to have you again, with Jock though.
Yes, definitely. Although we might be further apart.
We might be further. Oh no! We'll put the camera up on the ceiling somewhere. We'll see how that goes. So yes, wonderful. Well, thank you once again. And you are here in the office.
Yeah, so I'm here Monday to Friday. I usually be here about 9, depending on my day. Catch me during school hours, you'll get me every day. Some days I'm here later than others, but if you aim for that, you'll always get me.
Excellent, wonderful. And people can come in, they can talk to you about some of this stuff, but also other stuff to do with the business and administration of the life of our community.
Absolutely. I'd love to have you visit me.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in and watching and participating and engaging with the questions of mission and outreach in our COVID-19 world. I've been Reverend Esteban Liabano.
And I'm Rachel Manton.
And we are from Southside Uniting Church Ministry Team, and it's been wonderful to share this time with you. We will see you again next Wednesday at 11 a.m. where we'll be talking some more about how we can do mission in this time and season. May God bless you.